The Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho Chapter 3. The True and Trusting Faith of the Pure Land Way. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho 11. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Preface and passages 1-6. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. Preface. As I reflect, I find that our attainment of Shinjin arises from the heart and mind with which Amida Tathagata selected the vow, and that the clarification of true mind has been taught for us through the skillful works of compassion of the great sage, Shakyamuni. But the monks and laity of this latter age and the religious teachers of these times are floundering in concepts of self-nature and mind only, and they disparage the true realization of enlightenment in the Pure Land Way, or lost in the self-power attitude of meditative and non-meditative practices. They are ignorant of true Shinjin, which is diamond-like. Here, I, Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni, reverently embrace the true teaching of the Buddhas and Tathagatas, and look to the essential meaning of the treatises and commentaries of the Masters. Fully guided by the beneficent light of the three sutras, I seek in particular to clarify the luminous passage on the mind that is single. I will pose questions concerning it and then present clear testimony in which explanation is found. Mindful solely of the depth and vastness of the Buddha's benevolence, I am unconcerned about being personally abused. Let companions, who aspire for the Pure Land, and all who abhor this defiled world, accept, or discard, what they will of this work, but let them not ridicule the teaching. 1. Reverently contemplating Amida's directing of virtue for our going forth, I find there is great Shinjin. Great Shinjin is the superlative means for attaining longevity and deathlessness. It is the wondrous way to awaken aspiration for the pure and rejection of the defiled. It is the straightforward mind directed to us through the selected vow. It is Shinjin that actualizes Amida's profound and vast benefiting of others. It is true mind that is diamond-like and indestructible. It is pure Shinjin by which a person easily reaches the Pure Land where no one goes. It is the mind that is single, realized by the person who is grasped and protected by the compassionate light. It is great Shinjin, rare and unsurpassed. It is the quick path difficult for people to accept. It is the true cause of attaining great nirvana. It is the white path by which all virtues are fulfilled instantly. It is the ocean of Shinjin that is itself suchness or true reality. This mind arises from the vow of birth through the Nembutsu. This great vow is known as the selected primal vow, the vow of the threefold mind of the primal vow, the vow of sincere mind and entrusting, and, further, may be called the vow of Shinjin, which is Amida's directing of virtue for our going forth. For the foolish and ignorant who are ever sinking in birth and death, the multitudes turning in transmigration, it is not attainment of the unexcelled, incomparable fruit of enlightenment that is difficult. The genuine difficulty is realizing true and real Shinjin. Why? Because this realization takes place through the Tathagata's supportive power and because it comes about wholly through the power of great compassion and all-embracing wisdom. If pure Shinjin should be realized, that mind will not be inverted, that mind will not be vain or false. Thereupon, sentient being of extreme evil, profound and immense, will realize the mind of great joy and receive the veneration and love of all the sacred honored ones. 2. The passage stating the primal vow of sincere mind and entrusting in the larger sutra. If, when I attain Buddhahood, the sentient beings of the 10 quarters, with sincere mind entrusting themselves, aspiring to be born in my land, and saying my name perhaps even 10 times, should not be born there, may I not attain the supreme enlightenment. Excluded are those who commit the 5 grave offenses and those who slander the right Dharma. 4. The passage declaring the fulfillment of the primal vow in the larger sutra states, all sentient beings, as they hear the name, realize even one thought moment of Shinjin and joy, which is directed to them from Amida's sincere mind, and aspiring to be born in that land, they then attain birth, and dwell in the stage of non-retrogression. Excluded are those who commit the 5 grave offenses and those who slander the right Dharma. 6. Further, the larger sutra states, the one who hears and never forgets this Dharma, but sees and reveres it, and greatly rejoices in attaining it, that person is my true companion. Therefore, awaken this mind. Thank you for watching this introductory excerpt 11, on revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. We hope you would continue to listen deeply to the upcoming excerpts 12 to 24, which clearly explain to us more about what is true and real Shinjin. Stay tuned. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 12. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passage 9. Compiled by Jodo Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 9. The commentary on the treatise states, one says the name of the Tathagata, in accord with the Tathagata's light, which is the embodiment of wisdom, and with the significance of the name, wishing to be in correspondence with it, by practicing in accord with reality. One says the name of the Tathagata, means to say, the name of the Tathagata of unhindered light, in accord with the Tathagata's light, which is the embodiment of wisdom. The Buddha's light is the manifestation of wisdom. This light is completely unhindered, in shining throughout the worlds of the 10 quarters, and it dispels the darkness of ignorance of the sentient beings of the 10 quarters. It is not like the light of the sun, the moon, or a gem, which dispels only the darkness of an enclosure. In accord with the significance of the name, wishing to be in correspondence with it by practicing in accord with reality, the name of the Tathagata of unhindered light dispels all the ignorance of sentient beings, and fulfills their aspirations. But if you ask, why ignorance still remains, and your aspirations are not fulfilled, even though you say the name, and are mindful of Amida, it is because you do not practice in accord with reality, because you are not in correspondence with the significance of the name. Why is your practice not in accord with reality, and not in correspondence with the significance of the name? Because you do not know that the Tathagata is the body of true reality, and, further, the body for the sake of beings. Further, there are 3 aspects of non-correspondence. In the first, Shinjin is not genuine, for at times it appears to exist, and at other times not to exist. In the second, Shinjin is not single, for it lacks decisiveness. In the third, Shinjin is not enduring, for it is disrupted by other thoughts. These 3 act reciprocally, among themselves, and mutually give rise to each other. Because Shinjin is not genuine, it lacks decisiveness. Because it lacks decisiveness, mindfulness is not enduring. Further, Because mindfulness is not enduring, one does not realize Shinjin, that is decisive. Because one does not realize Shinjin, that is decisive, the mind is not genuine. The opposite, positive side of this is termed to be in correspondence with the significance of the name, by practicing in accord with reality. For this reason, the author of the treatise states, at the outset, I, with the mind that is single, Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho 13. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 11, 2, 13. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 11. The commentary on the Contemplation Sutra, by the Master of Kwangming Temple states, the Buddha's transcendent powers work in accord with the intentions. Has two meanings. First, it means, in accord with the intentions of sentient beings, all shall be saved in accord with their thoughts and desires. Second, it means, in accord with the will of Amida. With his 5 kinds of sight, he perceives all being perfectly. And with his 6 transcendent powers, he works freely, and without reservation. When he sees a being ready to be saved, in a single thought moment, neither before nor after, he appears before that being, in both body and mind. And with the 3 wheels of thoughts, words and deeds, he brings him to the realization of enlightenment. Thus, the ways in which he benefits beings differ according to their natures. 12. Further, it states, the 5 defilements, and the 5 forms of suffering, are common throughout the 6 courses. Not a single being has ever been free of them. We are constantly assailed, and afflicted by them. If there were a person not afflicted by such suffering, he would not belong to the group of ordinary beings. 13. Further, it states, the passage from what are these 3, 2, born without fail in that land, clearly delineates the 3 minds, and explains that these are the true cause resulting in birth. There are 2 points elucidated by this passage. First, it shows that the world-honored one's revealing a benefit, in accord with the nature of the practicer, is profound in intent, and difficult to fathom. Thus, if the Buddha had not himself raised the question, and presented the point precisely, we should have no way of understanding. Second, it shows that the Tathagata himself answers, setting forth the previously mentioned 3 minds. The sutra states, the first is sincere mind. Shiho. Shi means true. Jo means real. This shows that the understanding and practice of all sentient beings, cultivated through their bodily, verbal, and mental acts, unfailingly take as essential what was performed by Amida, with a true and real mind. We should not express outwardly signs of wisdom, goodness, or diligence. For inwardly, we are possessed of falsity. We are filled with all manner of greed, anger, perversity, deceit, wickedness, and cunning. And it is difficult to put an end to our evil nature. In this we are like poisonous snakes, or scorpions. Though we perform practices in the 3 modes of action, They must be called poison good acts, or false practices. They cannot be called true, real, and sincere action. Firmly setting our minds, and undertaking practice in this way, even if we strive to the utmost, with body and mind, through the 12 periods of the day and night, urgently seeking, and urgently acting, as though sweeping fire from our heads, must all be called poison good acts. To seek birth in the Buddha's Pure Land, by directing the merit of such poison practice, is completely wrong. Why? Because when, in his causal stage, Amida Buddha was performing practices as a bodhisattva, in every single moment, every single instant, he performed his practices, in the three modes of action, with a true and real mind. True practice depends on this. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 14. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passage 13. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 13. What is given by Amida constitutes our aspiration. It is all true and real. Further, what is true and real falls into two types: self-benefiting with a true and real mind, and Amida's benefiting others with a true and real mind. Regarding acts in the three modes that are not good, you should unfailingly take as essential the Buddha's abandoning of them with a true and real mind. And if you perform good in the three modes of action, unfailingly take as essential what the Buddha performed with a true and real mind. It is because a person takes the true and real as essential, whether he be within or without, whether of brightness or darkness, that the term sincere mind is applied. The second is deep mind. Deep mind is the deeply entrusting mind. There are two aspects. One is to believe deeply and decidedly that you are a foolish being of karmic evil, caught in birth and death, ever sinking, and ever wandering, in transmigration from innumerable kalpas in the past, with never a condition that would lead to emancipation. The second is to believe deeply and decidedly that Amida Buddha's 48 vows grasp sentient beings, and that allowing yourself to be carried by the power of the vow, without any doubt or apprehension, you will attain birth. Further, it is to believe deeply and decidedly that Shakyamuni Buddha leads people to aspire for the Pure Land, by teaching, in the Contemplation Sutara, the three types of meritorious conduct, the 9 grades of beings, and the 2 kinds of good, meditative and non-meditative, and by verifying and praising Amida's 2 kinds of fulfillment, the Buddha's body and land. Further, it is to believe deeply and decidedly that, as taught in the Amida Sutara, all the Buddhas throughout the 10 quarters, countless as the sands of the Ganges, give their witness, and encourage all foolish beings to attain birth without fail. May all practicers, persons of deeply entrusting mind, single-heartedly entrust themselves to the Buddha's words alone, and, thinking not of their lives, but relying utterly on the practice of the Nembutsu, abandon what the Buddha brings them to abandon. Practice what the Buddha brings them to practice. Leave what the Buddha brings them to leave. This is called being in accord with the Buddha's teaching. being in accord with the Buddha's intent. This is, being in accord with Amida Buddha's vow. This is to be a true disciple of the Buddha. Well does Shakyamuni, in this evil age of the 5 defilements, in this evil world, among evil sentient beings, evil views, evil passions, and in a time, when evil acts, and lack of faith, prevail, teach, and praise the name of Amida, encouraging sentient beings. If one says the name, one unfailingly attains birth. This is the witness. Further, the Buddhas throughout the 10 quarters, fearing that sentient beings might not accept the teaching of the one Buddha, Shakyamuni, altogether, with the same intent, and at the same time, extend their tongues, and covering all the great triple thousand-fold worlds, preach these true and sincere words. Sentient beings, each of you should accept what Shakyamuni has taught, has praised, has given witness to. It is certain, beyond any doubt, that when foolish beings, regardless of whether their evil, or merit, is great or small, or the period of time long or short, just single-heartedly practice the saying of the name of Amida alone, for up to 100 years, or down to even 1 or 7 days, they unfailingly attain birth. Thus, what one Buddha teaches, all Buddhas give witness to. This is known as establishing Shinjin through the Buddha. Further, right practice is divided in 2. First, single-heartedly practicing the saying of the name of Amida alone, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, without regard to the length of time, and without abandoning it from moment to moment. This is called the act of true settlement, for it is in accord with the Buddha's vow. Second, if one engages in worship, sutra recitation, and so on, these are called auxiliary acts. All forms of good, other than these 2 kinds of practice, true and auxiliary, are called sundry practices. They are all irrelevant and sundry practices. Hence, the term deep mind. The third is the mind of aspiration for birth, and directing a virtue. Again, let the person who seeks to be born with the mind of aspiration, and directing a virtue, aspire for attainment of birth, by unfailingly and decidedly taking as essential the vow directed to him from the true and real mind. This mind, in its profound entrusting, is like diamond. It is not shaken, confused, defeated, or broken by people of other views, other teachings, different understandings, or different practices. Just be decisively settled. Single-heartedly hold to the vow, and rightly and directly go forward, without paying attention to what others may say. If your heart advances and retreats, and you look back with weak and cowardly thoughts, you will fall from the path and forfeit the great benefit of birth. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 15. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passage 13. The White Path. Compiled by Jodo Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 13. Further, I say to all who aspire for birth in the Pure Land, I will now present a parable for practicers, so that their Shinjin be protected from attacks by those of wrong, or non-Buddhist views, and of different opinions. What is the parable? Suppose there is a traveler journeying 100,000 li toward the west, when suddenly, along the way, he comes upon two rivers in a single channel, one of fire, extending southward, and one of water, extending north. Each river is 100 paces across, immeasurably deep, and endless to the north and south. Dividing the fire and water is a single white path, 4 or 5 inches wide. This path, from the eastern bank to the western bank, is 100 paces in length. Billows of water surge over the path, and flames sweep up to scorch it. Water and fire thus alternate, without a break. Now, the traveler has already journeyed deep into the vast and solitary wilderness. There is no one to be seen, but bands of brigands and wild beasts lurk there, and seeing the traveler alone, they vie with each other to kill him. Fearing for his life, the traveler at once flees toward the west. When without warning the great river appears, he reflects, "I can see no end to this river, either to north or south. In the middle is a white path, but it is exceedingly narrow. Although the two banks are but slightly separated, how is it possible to cross? Assuredly this day I shall die. If I turn back, brigands and wild beasts will press closer and closer upon me. If I run north or south, beasts and poisonous insects will contend with each other to attack me. If I venture on the path westward, surely I will plunge into the two currents of water and fire." There are no words to express the terror and despair that fill him at this point. He thinks further to himself, "If I turn back now, I die. If I remain here, I die. If I go forward, I die. There is no way for me to escape death. Therefore, I choose to go forth, venturing on this path. Since this path exists, it must be possible to cross the rivers." When this thought occurs to him, he suddenly hears the encouraging voice of someone on the eastern bank. "O traveler, just resolve to follow this path forward. You will certainly not encounter the grief of death. But if you stay where you are, you'll surely die." Further, someone on the western bank calls to him, "O traveler, with mind that is single, with right-mindedness, come at once. I will protect you. Have no fear of plunging to grief in the water or fire." The traveler, having heard the exhortation on his side of the river and the call from the other, immediately acquires firm resolution in body and mind, and decisively takes the path, advancing directly, without entertaining any doubt or apprehension. When he has gone but 1 or 2 paces, the brigands on the eastern bank call out to him, "O traveler, come back. That path is treacherous and permits no crossing. You are certain to meet your death. None of us address you thus with evil intent." The traveler hears the voices calling him, but he gives no backward glance, thinking only of the path. He advances directly forward, with the mind that is single, and forthwith reaches the western side, free forever of all afflictions. He meets his good friend, and his joy unboundless. This is the parable. What are the implications of this parable? Please watch our next video to see how this wonderful parable is applied. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 16. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passage 13. The White Path. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 13. Now to apply the parable. The eastern bank is the burning house, that is this Saha world. The western bank, the precious land of perfect bliss. The brigands and wild beasts, calling with treacherous familiarity. A sentient being's 6 sense organs. The 6 forms of consciousness. The 6 kinds of objects. The 5 aggregates. And the 4 elements. The wilderness where no one is to be seen. One constantly joins with evil companions, without ever meeting a true teacher. The 2 currents, of water and fire. Sentient beings' greed and desire are likened to water, their anger and hatred to fire. The white path in the middle, 4 or 5 inches wide, amidst sentient beings' blind passions, of greed and anger, a pure mind, that aspires for birth in the Pure Land, is awakened. Since the greed and anger are intense, they are like the water and fire. Since the good mind is slight, it is like the white path. Further, billows of water constantly surge over the path. Desires arise incessantly to defile the good mind. Flames ceaselessly scorch the path. Anger and hatred consume the Dharma treasure of virtue. The traveler follows the path and advances directly westward. Turning away from all practices, he advances directly westward. He hears the voice of someone on the eastern bank, encouraging and exhorting him, and following the path, advances directly westward. Shakyamuni has already entered nirvana, and people of later times cannot meet him. His teachings still remain, however, and we can follow them. They are like that voice. When he has gone 1 or 2 paces, the brigands call him back. People of different understandings, different practices, or false views, with their own misguided opinions, one after another, seek to confuse him, claiming that he is committing evil and will fail. Someone on the western bank calls to him. This is the intent of Amida's vow. The traveler forthwith reaches the western side. He meets his good friend, and his joy is boundless. Sentient beings long sinking in birth and death, and for innumerable kalpas, lost in transmigration, being bound in delusion by their own karma, have no means of gaining emancipation for themselves. Reverently embracing Shakyamuni's teaching, in his exhortations to advance westward, and obeying Amida's call to us, with his compassionate heart, the traveler accepts and accords with the mind of the 2 honored ones, never giving a thought to the 2 rivers of water and fire, and taking the call of the honored ones to heart at every moment. He entrusts himself to the path of the power of the vow. After his death, he attains birth in that land, and meets the Buddha. How boundless is his joy! Reflect on this. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 17. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 13. 2. 20. Compiled by Jodo Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 13. Further, all practicers always have this understanding, and always dwell in this aspiration when performing practice in the three modes of action, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, regardless of the time, whether day or night. Hence it is called the mind of aspiration for birth and directing virtue. 18. Hence, whether with regard to practice, or to Shinjin, there is nothing whatever that has not been fulfilled through Amida Tathagata's directing a virtue to beings out of his pure vow mind. It is not that there is no cause, or that there is some other cause. Moreover, concerning directing a virtue, after being born in that land, one now awakens great compassion, and re-enters birth and death, to teach and guide sentient beings. This too is directing virtue. Since one already possesses the three minds, there is no practice that is not fulfilled. With aspiration and practice already fulfilled, any assertion that one is not born is clearly baseless. These three minds apply also to meditative good acts. Reflect on this. 19. Question. In the primal vow, the vow of sincere mind, entrusting, and aspiration for birth, has been established. Why does Vasubandhu, the author of the treatise, speak of the mind that is single? Answer. In order to make the matter easily comprehensible for ignorant and foolish sentient beings. Although Amida Tathagata discloses three minds, the true cause of attaining nirvana is Shinjin alone. It appears to be for this reason that Vasubandhu takes the three together as one. 20. Looking into the literal meanings of the three minds, I find that the three should be taken as one. Why? In sincere mind, Shishin, Shi, means truth, reality, sincerity, Shin, means seed, kernel. In entrusting, Shingyo, Shin, means truth, reality, sincerity, fullness, ultimacy, accomplishment, reliance, reverence, discernment, distinctness, clarity, faithfulness. Gyo means aspiration, wish, desire, exaltation, delight, joy, gladness, happiness. In aspiration for birth, Yoku-sho, Yoku means wish, desire, awakening, awareness. Sho means accomplishment, fulfillment, performance, establishment. We see clearly that sincere mind is the mind that is the seed of truth, reality, and sincerity. Hence, it is completely untainted by the hindrance of doubt. Entrusting is the mind full of truth, reality, and sincerity, the mind of ultimacy, accomplishment, reliance, and reverence, the mind of discernment, distinctness, clarity, and faithfulness, the mind of aspiration, wish, desire, and exaltation, the mind of delight, joy, gladness, and happiness. Hence, it is completely untainted by the hindrance of doubt. Aspiration for birth is the mind of wish, desire, awakening, and awareness, the mind of accomplishment, fulfillment, performance, and establishment. It is the mind of great compassion, directing itself to beings. Hence, it is completely untainted by the hindrance of doubt. Here, in considering the literal meanings of the terms for them, we find that the three minds are the mind of truth and reality, free of any taint of falsity. They are the mind, right and straightforward, free of any taint of wrong and deceit. Truly, we know, then, that this is called Shinjin, because it is untainted by the hindrance of doubt. Shinjin is the mind that is single. The mind that is single is Shinjin, that is true and real. Therefore, the author of the treatise states, at the outset, with the mind that is single. Reflect on this. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho 18. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 21 to 28. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 21. Question. We can accept for Subandhu's intentions the significance of taking the three as one, as indicated by the literal meanings of the terms. But Amida Tathagata has, in fact, established the vow of the threefold mind, for the sake of foolish and evil sentient beings. How are we to understand this? Answer. The Buddha's intention is difficult to fathom. Nevertheless, reflecting on this threefold mind, for myself alone, I find that all beings, a notion of multitudes, have since the beginningless past, down to this day, this very moment, been evil and defiled, completely lacking the mind of purity. They have been false and deceitful, completely lacking the mind of truth and reality. Thus, when the Tathagata, in profound compassion for the ocean of all sentient beings in pain and affliction, performed bodhisattva practices for inconceivable millions of measureless kalpas, there was not a moment, not an instant, when his practice, in the three modes of action, was not pure, or lacked this true mind. With this pure, true mind, the Tathagata brought to fulfillment the perfect, unhindered, inconceivable, indescribable, and inexplicable, supreme virtues. The Tathagata gives this sincere mind to all living beings, a notion of beings possessed of blind passions, karmic evil, and false wisdom. This mind manifests the true mind of benefiting others. For this reason, it is completely untainted by the hindrance of doubt. This sincere mind takes as its essence the reverend name of supreme virtues. 25. Thus, through these true words of the great sage and the commentary of the Master, we know, indeed, that this mind is the true and real mind of benefiting others through directing virtues, which originates from the inconceivable, indescribable, and inexplicable ocean of the vow of great wisdom, the one vehicle. This is sincere mind. 28. Next. Concerning Entrusting. It is the ocean of Shinjin, perfect and unhindered. That is the Tathagata's consummately fulfilled great compassion. Hence, there is no mixture of doubt. It is therefore called Entrusting. The essence of entrusting is the sincere mind of benefiting others and directing virtues. However, since the beginningless past, the multitudes of beings have been transmigrating in the ocean of ignorance, sinking aimlessly in the cycle of all forms of existence, and bound to the cycle of all forms of pain. Accordingly, they lack the entrusting that is pure. In the manner of their existence, they have no entrusting that is true and real. Hence, it is difficult for them to encounter the unexcelled virtues, difficult to realize the supreme, pure Shinjin. In all small foolish beings, at all times, thoughts of greed and desire incessantly defile any goodness of heart. Thoughts of anger and hatred constantly consume the Dharma treasure. Even if one urgently acts and urgently practices, as though sweeping fire from one's head, all these acts must be called poisoned, and sundry good, and false, and deceitful practice. They cannot be called true and real action. To seek to be born in the land of immeasurable light through such false and poisoned good is completely wrong. Why? Because when the Tathagata was performing bodhisattva practices, there was not a moment, not an instant, when his practice in the three modes of action was tainted by the hindrance of doubt. Because this mind is the Tathagata's mind of great compassion, it necessarily becomes the truly decisive cause of attaining the fulfilled land. The Tathagata, turning with compassion toward the ocean of living beings in pain and affliction, has given unhindered and vast pure Shinjin to the ocean of sentient beings. This is called the true and real Shinjin, that is Amida's benefiting of others. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho 19. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 39 to 50. Compiled by Jodo Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 39. Finally, aspire for birth is the command of the Tathagata, calling to and summoning the multitudes of all beings. That is, true and real and trusting, is the essence of aspiration for birth. Truly, aspiration for birth is not the directing of merit through the self-power of meditative and non-meditative practices, whether performed by ordinary people, or sages of the Mahayana, or the Hinayana. Therefore, it is called not directing. However, sentient beings of the countless worlds, floundering in the sea of blind passions, and drifting, and sinking, in the ocean of birth and death, lack the true and real mind, of directing virtues? They lack the pure mind, of directing virtues? For this reason, when the Tathagata was performing bodhisattva practices, out of pity for the ocean, of all sentient beings in pain and affliction, in every single moment, every single instant, of his endeavor in the three modes of action, he took the mind of directing virtues, as foremost, and thus realized the mind of great compassion. Accordingly, the Buddha directs this other benefiting, true and real mind of aspiration for birth, to the ocean of all beings. Aspiration for birth, is this mind of directing virtues? It is none other than the mind of great compassion. Therefore, it is untainted by the hindrance of doubt. 46. Truly, we know that, in the parable of the two rivers, the white of the white path, 4 or 5 inches wide, contrasts with black. White is the white act selected and adopted in the vow. The pure act, that is the directing of virtue to us, for our going forth. Black is the black activity of our ignorance and blind passions. The sundry good acts, of those of the two vehicles, and of human beings and devas. Path contrasts with trail. It is the one, real, direct path, of the primal vow. The supreme great way to complete nirvana. Trail refers to the bypaths, of those of the two, or the three vehicles, of the myriad good acts, and practices. 4, or 5 inches wide, refers to the 4 elements, and 5 aggregates, that make up sentient beings. Awakens the pure mind of aspiration. Means, to realize the diamond-like true mind. Since this is the ocean of great Shinjin, directed to us, through the power, of the primal vow, it cannot be defeated, or broken. This is likened to, diamond. Passage 50. Truly, we know that, although the terms, sincere mind, entrusting, and aspiration for birth, differ, their significance is the same. Why? Because these three minds are already completely untainted by the hindrance of doubt. There are, therefore, the true and real mind that is single. This is called the diamond-like true mind. The diamond-like true mind is true and real Shinjin. True and real Shinjin is unfailingly accompanied by saying the name. Saying the name, however, is not necessarily accompanied by Shinjin, that is, the power of the vow. Thus, the author of the treatise opens with the words, I, with the mind that is single. Further, he states, one wishes to be in correspondence with the name by practicing in accord with reality. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 20. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 51. 2. 65. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. Passage 51. In reflecting on the great ocean of Shinjin, I realize that there is no discrimination between noble and humble, or black-robed monks and white-clothed laity, no differentiation between man and woman, old and young. The amount of evil one has committed is not considered. The duration of any performance of religious practices is of no concern. It is a matter of neither practice nor good acts, neither sudden attainment nor gradual attainment, neither meditative practice nor non-meditative practice, neither right contemplation nor wrong contemplation, neither thought nor no thought, neither daily life nor the moment of death, neither many calling nor one's calling. It is simply Shinjin that is inconceivable, inexplicable, and indescribable. It is like the medicine that eradicates all poisons. The medicine of the Tathagata's vow destroys the poisons of our wisdom and foolishness. 52. Further, the mind aspiring for enlightenment is of two kinds: of orientation, lengthwise and crosswise. The lengthwise is further of two kinds: transcending lengthwise and departing lengthwise. These are explained in various teachings: accommodated and real, exoteric and esoteric, Mahayana, and Hinayana. They are the mind, with which one attains enlightenment. After going around, for many kalpas, the diamond-like mind of self-power, or, the great mind of the Bodhisattva. The crosswise, is also of two kinds. Transcending crosswise, and departing. Crosswise, that characterized by, departing crosswise, is the mind of enlightenment, of right and sundry practices, or meditative, and non-meditative practices, of self-power, within other power. That characterized, by transcending crosswise, is Shinjin, that is, directed to beings, through the power of the vow. It is the mind, that aspires to attain Buddhahood. The mind, that aspires to attain Buddhahood, is the mind aspiring for great enlightenment, of crosswise orientation. It is called the diamond-like mind, of crosswise transcendence. Although, the same term is used, the crosswise, and the lengthwise, minds of aspiration for enlightenment, differ in significance. Nevertheless, both take entrance into the true as right, and essential. Both take true mind, as their foundation. Both reject the wrong, and sundry. And both take doubt, to be erroneous. All, who seek the Pure Land, both monk and lay, must grasp the profound significance of the precious words concerning imperfect realization of Shinjin, and must become free of the wrong thinking of imperfect realization of hearing. 60. Contemplating true and real Shinjin, I find there is the one thought moment. One thought moment expresses the ultimate brevity of the instant of the realization of Shinjin, and manifests the vast, inconceivable mind of joyfulness. 61. Here, let us turn to the larger sutara, which states, all sentient beings, as they hear the name, realize even one thought moment of Shinjin and joy, which is directed to them from Amida's sincere mind, and aspiring to be born in that land, they then attain birth and dwell in the stage of non-retrogression. 65. The word here in the passage from the larger sutara means that sentient beings, having heard how the Buddha's vow arose, its origin and fulfillment, are altogether free of doubt. This is to hear. Shinjin is Shinjin, that is directed to beings through the power of the primal vow. Joy expresses gladness in body and mind. Even includes both many and few, one thought moment, because Shinjin is free of double-mindedness. One thought moment is used. It is the mind that is single. The mind that is single is the true cause of birth in the pure, fulfilled land. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 21. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 65 to 71. Compiled by Jodo Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 65. When we realize the diamond-like true mind, we transcend crosswise the paths of the 5 courses and 8 hindered existences, and unfailingly gain 10 benefits in the present life. What are these 10? 1. The benefit of being protected and sustained by unseen powers. 2. The benefit of being possessed of supreme virtues. 3. The benefit of our karmic evil being transformed into good. 4. The benefit of being protected and cared for by all the Buddhas. 5. The benefit of being praised by all the Buddhas. 6. The benefit of being constantly protected by the light of the Buddha's heart. 7. The benefit of having great joy in our hearts. 8. The benefit of being aware of Amida's benevolence and of responding in gratitude to his virtue. 9. The benefit of constantly practicing great compassion. 10. The benefit of entering the stage of the truly settled. 66. The term practicing the saying of the name alone that occurs in Master Shantou is single practice. Wholehearted thought is single-heartedness. Thus, the term one thought moment in the passage teaching the fulfillment of the vow is wholehearted thought. Wholehearted thought is deep mind. Deep mind is deep entrusting. Deep entrusting is deep entrusting that is steadfast and firm. Deep entrusting that is steadfast and firm is decisive mind. Decisive mind is supreme mind. Supreme mind is true mind. True mind is enduring mind. Enduring mind is genuine mind. Genuine mind is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the true and real mind that is single. The true and real mind that is single is the mind of great joy. The mind of great joy is true and real Shinjin. True and real Shinjin is the diamond-like mind. The diamond-like mind is the mind that aspires for Buddhahood. The mind that aspires for Buddhahood is the mind to save sentient beings. The mind to save sentient beings is the mind to grasp sentient beings and bring them to birth in the pure land of peace. This mind is the mind aspiring for great enlightenment. This mind is the mind of great compassion. For this mind arises from the wisdom of immeasurable light. The ocean of the vow is characterized by sameness. Therefore, the aspiration awakened is the same. Since the aspiration awakened is the same, the path is the same. Since the path is the same, the great compassion is the same. For great compassion is the right cause of realizing the enlightenment of Buddha. 70. Hence we know that the mind that is single is termed to be in correspondence with the significance of the name, by practicing in accord with reality. This is the right teaching. This is the right meaning. This is the right practice. This is the right understanding. This is the right act. This is the right wisdom. 71. The threefold mind is the mind that is single. The mind that is single is the diamond-like true mind. Here ends the answer concerning this matter. Reflect upon it. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 22. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 73 2. 113. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 73. Let us consider the words, transcending crosswise, cut off the four currents. In transcending crosswise, crosswise stands in contrast to transcending lengthwise and departing lengthwise. Transcending contrasts with going roundabout and following a winding path. Transcending lengthwise characterizes the true and real teaching of the Mahayana. Departing lengthwise is the accommodated, expedient teaching of the Mahayana, and the roundabout teachings of the two-vehicle and three-vehicle schools. Transcending crosswise is the true teaching based on the fulfillment of the vow, which embodies the perfectly consummate true reality. This indeed is the true essence of the Pure Land Way. Further, there is departing crosswise. This is the teaching of meditative and non-meditative practices of the three levels of practicers and the 9 grades of beings. It comprises the good acts of going roundabout that lead to the transformed land, the realm of indolence and pride. In the pure fulfilled land of the great vow, grade and level are irrelevant. In the space of an instant, one swiftly transcends and realizes the supreme, perfect, true enlightenment. Hence, transcending crosswise. 77. The larger Amida Sutra states, one will be able to abandon this world, transcending and parting from it. When one is born in that land of Amida Buddha, one cuts off crosswise the 5 evil courses, and they close naturally. Ascending the way is without limit. To go is easy, and yet no one is born there, never at variance with that land. One is drawn there by its spontaneous working. 78. Concerning the term cut off, because we have awakened the mind that is single, which is directed to us for our going forth, there is no further state of existence into which we must be born, no further realm into which we must pass. Already, the causes leading to the 6 courses and the 4 modes of birth have died away, and their results become null. Therefore, we immediately and swiftly cut off birth and death in the 3 realms of existence. Hence, cut off. The 4 currents are the 4 turbulent currents. They also refer to birth, aging, sickness, and death. 84. In the term true disciple of Buddha, true contrasts with false and provisional disciple indicates a disciple of Shakyamuni and the other Buddhas. This expression refers to the practicer who has realized the diamond-like heart and mind. Through this Shinjin and practice, one will without fail transcend and realize great nirvana. Hence, one is called true disciple of Buddha. 103. Truly, we know that, because Mahasattva Maitreya has perfectly realized the diamond-like mind of the stage equal to enlightenment, he will without fail attain the stage of supreme enlightenment beneath a dragon flower tree at the dawn of the 3 assemblies. Because sentient beings of the Nembutsu have perfectly realized the diamond-like mind of crosswise transcendence, they transcend and realize great, complete nirvana on the eve of the moment of death. Hence the words, as such, the same. Moreover, the people who have realized the diamond-like mind are the equals of Vaidehi, and have been able to realize the insights of joy, awakening, and confidence. This is because they have thoroughly attained the true mind directed to them for their going forth, and because this accords with the working of the primal vow, which surpasses conceptual understanding. 106. The term provisional refers to those of the path of sages, and those of the meditative and non-meditative practices within the Pure Land path. 110. The term false refers to the 62 views and the 95 wrong paths. 111. The Nirvana Sutra states, "The world-honored one always teaches. All non-Buddhists learn the 95 kinds of wrong paths and fall into evil courses." 112. The Master of Kwangming Temple states, "The 95 kinds of wrong paths all defile the world. The single way of the Buddha alone is pure and tranquil." 113. I know, truly, how grievous it is that I, Shinran, am sinking in an immense ocean of desires and attachments, and am lost in vast mountains of fame and advantage, so that I rejoice not at all at entering the stage of the truly settled, and feel no happiness at coming nearer the realization of true enlightenment. How ugly it is! How wretched! Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 23. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 114 to 120. Compiled by Jodo Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 114. Concerning beings who are difficult to cure, the Buddha has taught the following. The Nirvana Sutra states, Kasyapa, there are 3 kinds of people in the world who are hard to cure. Those who slander the great vehicle, those who commit the 5 grave offenses, and those who lack the seed of Buddhahood. Ikantaka. These 3 sicknesses are the most severe in the world. They cannot be treated by Sravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, or Bodhisattvas. Good sons. Suppose a person is stricken with a disease that is certain to be fatal, and is without cure. But treatment is given, and there is appropriate medicine. Were it not for the treatment, or appropriate medicine, in no way would it be possible to cure the illness. Know that the person would be certain, beyond any doubt, to die. Good sons. These 3 kinds of people are like this. Following the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, they have heard and received the cure. They are able to awaken the mind of aspiration for supreme, perfect enlightenment. But Sravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, whether they preach the Dharma or not, cannot bring such people to awaken the mind, aspiring for supreme, perfect enlightenment. 118. Here we see, from the true teaching of the great sage, that when the 3 types of beings, difficult to save, those afflicted with the 3 kinds of sickness difficult to cure, entrust themselves to the universal vow of great compassion, and take refuge in the ocean of Shinjin. That is, Amida is benefiting others. The Buddha is filled with pity for them, and heals them, commiserates with, and cures them. It is like the wondrous medicine, called Manda, curing all illness. Beings of the defiled world, the multitudes, possessed of corruptions and evil, should seek and think on the diamond-like, indestructible, true mind. They should hold steadfast to the primal vow, which is the wondrous medicine, called Manda. Reflect on this. 119. In the Mahayana Sutras, the matter of the being difficult to save is expounded. The larger Sutra states, excluded are those who commit the 5 grave offense, and those who slander the right Dharma. And the Sutra of the Tathagata of Immeasurable Life states, excluded are those who commit evil acts that condemn them to Avicii hell, and those who slander the right Dharma, or the sages. The Contemplation Sutra teaches the attainment of birth of those who commit the 5 grave offenses, but not of those who slander the Dharma. And in the Nirvana Sutra, the beings and the sicknesses difficult to cure are taught. How are these true teachings to be understood? 120. Answer. The first Sutra speaks of committing 2 kinds of serious, evil act: the 5 grave offenses, and the slander of the right Dharma. Because of committing both these 2 kinds of evil act, a person is unable to attain birth. The other sutra speaks only of committing the evil of the 10 transgressions and 5 grave offenses. Nothing is said of slandering the right Dharma. Because a person has not slandered the right Dharma, he attains birth. Excerpts from the Kyo-Gyo-Shin-Sho. 24. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way. Passages 120 to 122. Compiled by Gotoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. 120. Question. Suppose a person has committed the 5 grave offenses, but has not slandered the right Dharma. In the Sutra, it is granted that such a person can attain birth. Further, suppose there is a person who has only slandered the right Dharma, but is free of the 5 grave offenses and other evil acts. If he aspires for birth, will he attain it or not? Answer. Although he has only slandered the right Dharma, and has not committed other evil acts, he will definitely be unable to attain birth. How is this known? A sutra states that the person who has committed the 5 grave offenses falls into great Avicii hell, and fully undergoes their recompense for 1 kalpa. The person who slanders the right Dharma falls into great Avicii hell, and when that kalpa has run out, he passes on into the great Avicii hell of another quarter. In this way, he passes through 100,000 great Avicii hells, one after another. The Buddha does not indicate any time when it is possible for him to emerge. This is because slandering the right Dharma is an evil act of extreme gravity. Further, the right Dharma is the Buddha Dharma. Such a foolish person has already slandered it. How can it be reasonable to think that he would aspire to be born in the Buddha land. Suppose the person aspires for birth merely because he craves to be born into happiness. This is like seeking ice that is not water, or fire without smoke. How can it be deemed reasonable that he attain it? Question. What are the characteristics of slandering the right Dharma? Answer. Saying there is no Buddha, no Buddha Dharma, no Bodhisattva, no Bodhisattva Dharma. Deciding on such views, whether through understanding this in one's own mind, or receiving the ideas from others, is called slandering the right Dharma. 121. The Master of Kwangming Temple states. Question. According to the 48 vows, only those who commit the 5 grave offenses, and those who slander the right Dharma, are excluded and cannot attain birth. Here, according to the passage on the lowest grade of the lowest rank in the Contemplation Sutta, those who slander the Dharma are set apart, and those who commit the 5 grave offenses are grasped. What does this mean? Answer. The intent may be understood as a teaching to make us desist from evil, as stated in the 48 vows. Those who slander the Dharma, and those who commit the 5 grave offenses, are excluded. This means that these 2 kinds of action are the gravest of hindrances. When sentient beings commit them, they plunge directly into Avicii hell, where they undergo long kalpas of terror and panic, without any means of emerging. The Tathagata, fearing that we would commit these 2 kinds of faults, seeks to stop us through compassionate means, by declaring that we will then not be able to attain birth. This does not mean that we will not be grasped. It is taught, concerning the lowest grade of the lowest rank, that those who commit the 5 grave offenses are taken up, but those who slander the Dharma are excluded. This is because beings of the lowest grade have already committed the 5 grave offenses, but must not be abandoned to endless transmigration. Thus, Amida, awakening great compassion, grasps them and brings them to birth. Since, however, they have yet to commit the karmic evil of slandering the Dharma, in order to prevent them from doing so, it is stated that, if one slanders the Dharma, one will not attain birth. This is to be understood as relevant to those who have not committed this evil. Even if one has committed it, one will nevertheless be grasped and brought to attainment of birth. Although one attains birth in the Pure Land, however, one must pass many kalpas enclosed in a lotus bud. Such people of karmic evil, while they are within the lotus, are possessed of the 3 kinds of obstructions. First, they cannot see the Buddha and the noble assemblies. Second, they cannot hear the right Dharma. Third, they cannot travel to the lands of the Buddhas to make offerings. But apart from these obstructions, they do not undergo any form of pain. In the sutras, it is taught that their state is like that of a bhikshu who has entered the bliss of the 3rd dhyana heaven. Reflect on this. Although they are confined within the flower that is closed for many kalpas, is this not better than to suffer all the torments for endless kalpas in Avicii hell? Thus, this passage should be understood as a teaching to make us desist from evil. Passage 122. Further, he states, the Pure Land is free forever from slander and dislike. All are equal, with no anxieties or afflictions. Whether human or deva, good or evil, all can reach the Pure Land. On attaining it, their distinctions vanish. All equally enter the stage of non-retrogression. Why is it thus? It comes about because Amida, in his causal stage, under the guidance of Venerable Buddha, abandoned his throne, and left his home, and awakening the mind of compassion and wisdom, widely proclaimed his 48 vows. Through the power of the Buddha's vows, the karmic evil of the 5 grave offenses and the 10 transgressions is eradicated, and all are brought to attainment of birth. When those who slander the Dharma or abandon the seed of Buddhahood turn about at heart, they all reach the Pure Land. Here ends excerpts from Chapter 3. A collection of passages revealing the true Shinjin of the Pure Land Way.